Well, finally, only about 3 weeks away until Metroid Prime 4 releases, we finally got more information about this game, and it's tons of info. Nintendo did a weird thing by also having previews go live for a lot of people's channels and stuff today, but also they had their own overview, which was weird. So they dropped an overview trailer and tons of previews from the actual people that got to go and try this game out, which is just strange. Normally, like, the overview comes first or maybe way later or something like that. But anyways, regardless, we have lots of Metroid Prime 4 news. Some good, some bad, unfortunately, us Metroid fans. But we'll get into all that because what I'm doing is pretty much taking a lot of people's previews and combining them into one video for you guys. I do this with the reviews and the previews as well. So I'm pretty much looking at all the previews and joining them all into one video for you guys, and so you don't have to go and watch like a million to know, what you want to see from this game. Also, I will link all these previews down below so you can check them out individually, but they come from Nintendo Life, GameSpot, IGN, and Eurogamer, respectively, today. But before we get started, if you guys love these type of videos, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. We are super close to 380,000 subscribers. You guys can make that happen right now to get us closer to our goal of 400,000. Thank you so much. So let's see how many people we can get to subscribe in this video alone. But let's dive into the previews. But first, let's start off with the reviewer from Nintendo Life. He states that the game looks amazing and it has an amazing soundtrack so far. When I hear the Viros theme, it just sounds amazing. Every time the trailers start, it really is really good. But yeah, they said that, it just looks next level for them. It's just as good looking as that Metroid Prime remake, which you might think is kind of bad since it's on the Switch 1, but that Metroid Prime remake, or remaster rather, looked really, really good. So this game looks just as good, if not better than that as well. And you can just see it during the gameplay that I show. It looks phenomenal. The psychic abilities are cool, but they're kind of slow. They're fine, is what I've heard so far from Nintendo Life, where you can see a lot of the scenes where you're slowly moving things around with the psychic glove, I believe it is. It just looks very slow paced. It's okay, not great, not horrible, but yeah, it seems to be her new main ability in this game. Whenever you get new boots or new thrusters, whatever item pickup you get, it's going to be based on psychic abilities. There was a particularly really cool part that I wanted to note. With the psychic glove, you can move and control your psychic beam. In some sections, you can actually guide it through a specific area in order to unlock a mechanism. You can take it through to the other side of a room sometimes. I really, really love this. In fact, it reminds me a lot of the beetle from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, which I believe was and definitely still is my favorite Zelda item ever. It was so unique, and I absolutely loved using it for some of the puzzles in the game. So to see it return in something like Metroid of all games, I think would work really, really good, and I'm actually really excited for that one in particular. Now, the open desert area with Viola the bike is blocked off for any preview, so no one was really able to play those areas, which is strange, but apparently one of the reps at Nintendo told Nintendo Life that think of it as Hyrule Field from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which is one small hub area pretty much that connects to the other locations. And I believe we know that there's about 5 locations in total in the game. I believe the overview trailer actually stated that as well. But so far, they showed us the overgrown jungle, Fury Green. They showed us the Thunderous Factory, Volt Forge, the Frozen Laboratory, Ice Belt, and also the Molten Facility, Flare Pool. Now, of course, you add the desert, that'll be 5 total locations. I don't know if the desert counts as one of the 5, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. Now, everything sounds good and dandy, but this is where things take a turn for the worse. Apparently, there's a specific character in this game known as Miles McKenzie. He's a Federation trooper, and he's apparently the worst thing of all time. Literally, Nintendo Life goes on and on and on to say how horrible he is with the chatty dialogue and absolutely stupid heal and follow missions that you have to do with him. There's times where he'll get knocked down, you have to go over and heal him, or the mission will end completely. There's lots of escort missions like this, and he just pretty much follows you around talking to you nonstop, and Samus doesn't even respond to him. Apparently, he's just a chatty NPC helper character, and that's literally it, and it just feels strange in something like an isolated Metroid Prime game. In Nintendo Life, and you'll see soon, almost everybody on the internet absolutely hates this guy. I mean, look at him. He's freaking out here. So overall, Nintendo Life's takeaway is they were very mixed on the game so far, it seemed like, where the psychic abilities seemed to be cool, but a little slow and just And also, of course, the whole Miles McKenzie thing is just the worst, apparently. Now, they apparently didn't know about the overview trailer when a lot of these previewers were playing the game. I think it just dropped literally today as they were already had their, videos made and stuff. So yeah, once again, just weird marketing from Nintendo. I don't understand that. But yeah, a lot of them were saying, like, we hope that there's not more of these characters throughout the game, but if you watch the overview trailer, there's a whole section dedicated to these Marine troopers, and there seems to be a bunch of them. They're all with their own abilities, like, for instance, Miles is a engineer, where you could see some, like, there's one with a giant mech suit on, probably for power missions, and there's just a bunch of different ones with, different probably stories for them and stuff, and it seems like each area is going to have their own Galactic Federation soldier that you have to work with, which a lot of people are either going to really like this or really dislike this. I personally love new characters and more lore in Metroid. I know Samus is about isolation, and Metroid Prime has always been about being alone in isolation, but there's something to be said about adding characters, and I think that's why I actually was a big fan of Metroid Other M, because I like seeing other characters. I like seeing Samus interact with other characters, even though in this game she doesn't seem to talk to them at all. But I actually like this, and I'm looking forward to this. That's just me, but we'll see. Next up, we have GameSpot, and they gave us some more information about the game and how it works and the story. You need 5 master teleporter keys in order to get off the planet in all 5 different sections. So there's 1 key per section, of course, 5 different sections. That seems something Metroid-y, and I'm sure there's going to be something else that we got to collect at the very end, if it's going to be like a Prime game, which is the worst part of the game for me. I'm actually hoping they don't do that this time around. I hate the backtracking. But they state that the beginning was very hand-holdy and simplistic. There wasn't a lot to it. It was very simple, but of course, it's the very beginning of the game. What do we expect from any game? They got to ease you into it. That's to be expected. They actually thought the realistic graphics made the game look sometimes, and they compared it to a PS5 and Series X game. I don't know how I feel about this comparison. We know that there's not going to be a single Nintendo Switch 2 game that's going to be anywhere near a PS5 and Series X. It's a handheld console. We knew this from the start. I don't know why this is even a comparison. From everybody else that I've heard, the game looks amazing, but for some reason, GameSpot thinks that it doesn't look that great, trying to go for a realism approach that just doesn't fit Nintendo. I don't know if I agree with this one. The fact that you can even switch the game to 4K if you want from the 120 FPS mode, I don't know. Everything that I've seen looks fantastic, and everybody that I've heard talk about the graphics said it looks fantastic, so take that with what you will. But they said that Miles is actually a lot of fun and had some funny moments and added to Samus's quiet demeanor. They just seem to be the complete opposite of everybody, where everybody loves the graphics, they don't like them that much, but everybody hates Miles, they kind of like Miles. So yeah, once again, take with it what you will. But they thought Miles was not too terrible. But when they showed some of his quips and dialogue, I actually thought he was kind of funny in certain scenes. I know some people are just, they hate fun, and any type of quirky dialogue makes them mad. A lot of the reviewers compared it to Marvel dialogue, but I thought a lot of the things that were happening was pretty funny. Him trying to hurry up and shoot an alien and his gun just falls down, or her saying some quirky thing to Samus and her just staring at him blankly. I love this.
Oh! Whoa! You are sneaky quiet, you know that?
We also get a look at a boss battle called Carvex, and we know some good information about it. After scanning, we can tell that the boss is a Metroid-fused wild plant, which seems to be the case for a lot of the bosses in this game, some of the enemies as well, where it seems like the Metroids are fusing with them. Now, this was something that was originally planned for some of the past Metroid Prime games, and there's actually concept art of this, even more in the recently released Metroid Prime art book. But yeah, it seems like they're finally going through with that idea and merging some of the wildlife, some of the space pirates, and other creatures with Metroids, which I really like that idea. But apparently this was a really fun boss fight that incorporated a lot of different elements of Samus's abilities, such as using the psychic hand in order to move the beam around and take out all the tendrils at once. Overall, outside of that one weird comment about the graphics, GameSpot seemed to really enjoy the game overall so far. IGN seemed to be one of the more critical ones of this game so far, with the reviewers starting off by saying, the game looks fantastic so far, everything that they've seen looks really, really good, and they said it very much looks and plays like a Metroid Prime game, from the map to the scanning with the visor, pretty much everything feels very Metroid Prime-y, which is a very good feeling. I know I just said Prime-y, but just carry on. Nintendo didn't let anyone play the motorcycle desert sections, and they talk about how this kind of made them think, I don't know, is it for a good reason? Is it for a bad reason? Who knows? It does seem to be one of the more controversial things so far online, is a lot of people thinking that it's going to be this bland, open world, boring section that pulls away from what Metroid is supposed to be. But if we go back to that Nintendo Live comment where Nintendo says it's supposed to be like the Hyrule field of this game, I think we don't really have much to worry here. IGN states that the psychic abilities feel sluggish, and it's not super fun or intuitive to use. There's a lot of times where it just feels slow, boring, and sluggish, and like I said, you can see it for sure, especially when guiding your beam. It moves a little too slow. I wish they just sped it up a little bit, and I think it would have been fine. But oh boy, does IGN have one major gripe with the game, and of course, you guessed it, Miles. Once again, as I was watching this, I actually thought some of the dialogue was kind of funny. I even chuckled a couple times. But IGN states that it is infuriating and with quippy humor and also telling you what to do and what you need to be doing almost at all times. There's even apparently instances where he tells you that you need to save your game. I don't know if this was a joke or for real, but they just made it seem like it was just absolutely insane. And constantly screaming and talking in your ear every 3 seconds an enemy appears or something just feels like an annoying sidekick. They tried to even go into the settings mid-gameplay to turn him off, but the only settings is to turn off all voice acting, which would ruin cutscenes altogether, they said, so they didn't do it. But it was that bad they had to go into the settings, apparently. You have to keep picking him up also when he gets injured, or you'll get a game over if you leave him behind. And there's tons of what they called outdated escort missions, where you constantly have to walk with him and stay side by side with him. You can't blast ahead, and you have to make sure that he stays safe. Samus never responds, and it feels awkward when she has conversations or listens to conversations with these characters they mention, and the whole thing just really dragged down the game for them.
Wow. What a mess. You're alone, on a planet, no hope of survival. But you're also not sitting next to Phil anymore in that cubicle, so... Win?
I'm sorry, y'all just hate fun because I freaking love this. IGN also really loved the Carvex boss battle, and the story seemed to be very interestingly developing, and even with Miles that they absolutely despise, they said some of his dialogue, especially towards the end of the area, seems to be building more of the lore and story, which is very interesting, and they can't wait to learn more. So he does have some good elements to him, helping to further expand the story and the plot, so like, I like Miles. Listen, I think we just need to spend some time with him, okay? But overall, what I was able to pull from IGN's preview is they seem to be very worried, simply due to the trooper mechanic, and having Miles join you and possibly even others, they seem to be really worried about this and how it's enough to actually make them dislike the game. It was that bad, apparently. So we're going to have to wait and see how the other troopers pan out, but that's already kind of a bad sign for the game. For me, I don't care. I don't think it's that big of an issue, but for a lot of people, it might be, and then especially for people that enjoy that isolation factor of Metroid, and I get it though. But let's move on to our last preview with Eurogamer. Now, Eurogamer didn't add too much more for our conversation. I mean, they pretty much was just on a lot of the plot points that a lot of other people were on. Looks and feels very great to play. Praises the different control options as well, including the mouse control that works really well. They also talk about Samus's isolation is kind of gone in this game, where having these other troopers takes away from what Metroid has always been known to be. They also compare it a lot to Halo, where it feels like there's a lot of other characters and stuff, and just has like a lot of side characters and troopers that talk to you. Very Master Chief vibes, and they too are not a fan of Miles. More hate for the guy. It's the game's greatest weakness apparently, although he does add some good story elements that they also say as well, and they were pretty upset that Samus doesn't talk back, and it's just strange that she just sits and nods, but we all know what happened when they let Samus, have free range of speaking. Yeah. Look, I actually really liked Other M, so don't look at me. I didn't say nothing. But overall, Eurogamer states that the puzzles and shooting and graphics are all great, but held back by Miles. Why does everybody hate Miles? But overall, it seems like Metroid Prime 4 is kind of shaky for a lot of people. There's a lot of good with it, but it's really held back by this trooper mechanic, and I'm really hoping that maybe the other troopers work a lot better for some people. But like I said, from what I've seen and heard about, there's not much that I don't like. I will say my personal only complaint so far is I wish Samus had more flexible and acrobatic abilities. I know this is Metroid Prime, so she's never really had that. It's hard to do that in first person, but I kind of wish she had her parry and counter and stuff that she has in like Metroid Dread and Samus Returns. That would have been really cool to see in something like Prime, but at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of cool stuff just in that overview trailer, and I know there's a lot of stuff that we obviously don't know about yet. So I'm looking forward to the game and what the game has to offer, but let me know in the comments down below what you think of the previews and what do you guys think of Miles, and just let me know what you think of the game so far as well. Thank you for tuning in. Leave a like and subscribe before you head out, and I hope you all have a blessed day. See ya, guys.